Welcome back to Rift Rivals, ladies and gentlemen. We're up to the final match of the night, and it's going to be SKT versus Flash Wolves. So let's take this opportunity to delve into SKT's new 2016 championship skins. These guys got a little bit more involved this time, signing the back animations and making sure that it is certainly with the SKT flavor. Of course, 25% will actually go to the team as well of the proceeds, and there'll be 1350 RP in the store. The coolest part about this is not only Wolf's incredible poses that you'll get all of, but you'll also get Coach Coma's amazing ward skin, and it is so incredibly pretty. So make sure you get into the store to purchase those. I know I already have. So guys, what are your favorite ones? Can we start off with that?
Wolf Nami. Yeah.
I can't go past Wolf's Nami.
That's so good.
Actually, is just
You were so prepared for that. Just like straight out. We didn't discuss this beforehand, ladies and gentlemen. That was all Frosco
You
straight
miss
away.
100% of the shots you don't take.
All I know is that I'm going to be getting that SKT Jin skin so I can just go bang on the first shot. See, we were prepared.
Speaking of bang, don't you have something to
whip
admit?
Yes, I do.
Razzle-plasm.
Because now we're going into SKT versus Flash Wolves. Remember this. Rosters, everybody. Previous games, since you are now the LMS expert.
Why am I the LMS expert?
Because Chowie did not. There we go.
He's so
It's coming
tilted.
out.
You can
It's
hear
coming
it.
out.
So I'm wrong.
Westar's played 10 games. He was
And
right
Chowie's
the
only
entire
played
time.
7.
Yep.
So I actually did have correct
This
information.
guy had the information.
Oh.
Week 1, this guy played 4 games. And guess what? I passed my notebook. It's a nice notebook. Literally an owl notebook. Take it, my friend.
You're going to need that. We're discussing Flash Wolves versus SKT.
For now.
Don't make crazy
For now.
assertions, okay?
For
Tomorrow, I will become the LMS expert. But
All right.
for now, you can keep that role. Otherwise, the desk would get confusing because then I'd have to host throw to myself. So, Atlas, what do you think about this LMS matchup? Well, I think that Caster and Maple need to play more
And
games.
he's doing it anyway.
Blah,
So
blah,
here
blah.
we
So
are.
that's how it'd go, and it'd be awful. So, Frosco, save us, please.
Okay, it's Flash Wolves versus SKT. This is the cream of the crop. This is the match that we've all been waiting for. It'll close us out today. The Korean killers themselves.
Ooh.
I am so ready to kill this narrative. Flash Wolves have only beaten SKT with Peanut once. They went to their semifinals and they got 3-0'd convincingly. The only other times that Flash Wolves have built up the Korean killer narrative is when they faced Blank specifically. All the way,
Yeah.
the unbeatable. Yeah, except for against Karsa, which Karsa has said before, you know, they knew Blank before he joined SKT. They felt very confident facing him in solo queue, and at 2016 MSI, they exploited that. Bengi came back in, SKT reigned supreme. We all know how that story ended.
Yeah, Bengi saves the day, well, whereas now it's Blank saving the day over and over again. This guy is all kinds of undefeated right now. He is on an absolute tear, and when you can make Peanut look like the B-tier jungler in your team,
That says a lot.
that is ludicrous.
And we just need to see what kind of Flash rolls we're getting, because 3 sets is the only amount of time in which this full MSI roster was seen in their LMS summer split of Karsa, because Karsa didn't play for a few, the weeks.
Yeah.
Also, we saw in week 2 of Moonblack and Mandus coming in for MMD and Betty. I love those names, I have
Oh,
to say.
so good.
They're good names. Of course, I don't want to see Vladimir in my top lane, or do I? And so,
Do you, Raz?
maybe.
That was an extraordinary pivot.
So MMD has been performing well. I just want to see if MMD can showcase that on an international stage.
Woo!
Because if he's doing this well in domestic play, then of course, we know what reputation he has internationally.
And he's not just doing well domestically. He's beating people that within the LMS are trying to beat him in lane. They're building to beat him in lane. We legitimately saw 3 Doran's Blades built to oppose him in a lane, and
Yes,
he
we did.
solo killed him.
I like how we get that storyline twice, because that's a good one. That is definitely a good
Surprise,
one.
it was morning.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
But the point that we're making is that MMD has still been able to shine super well in his most recent sets even, can be a big carry for the team. Of course, he has I'll say it's a hard task with his opponents, but probably the easiest of the hard tasks.
Yeah, well, this is exactly right. Untara has been looking a little bit better than Huni recently. Huni's been the one playing the exciting picks towards the top side of the map, seeing a Cassiopeia, some Lucian, some good stuff there, but Huni has not been the one as consistent. Of course, coming in with Peanut against KT in the Telecom War, and then being immediately switched out for Blank and Untara, and then that was the reverse sweep in the best of 3 to take down KT. And look, SKT look so incredibly dominant with those players on the roster, but still, regardless, Huni's a phenomenal player, always has been, just maybe a little bit more of a loose cannon.
But it's best of one. And at the end of the day, we know that SKT really thrive in the best of 5 format. The longer a tournament goes on, the better read, the better adaptation. It's a lot of preparation that goes into why they are the greatest team in the world. And they don't have that. And Flash Wolves do have that reputation. Maybe it's a mental thing where they can kind of put you on the back foot. They can push you a little bit. The problem is that this isn't the strong Flash Wolves that we're used to seeing as well.
Maybe, perhaps. It's weird because we still need to see what Flash Wolves currently, how are they playing. They had a strong send-off going up against J-Team and AHQ and Machi, so they came out with Karsa starting to play very well. We just need to see how well, because this is definitely the golden standard going up against SKT.
And we always talk about the Flash Wolves, and we're talking about Maple Karsa because they are, it's the pocket jungler and the mid laner, and it has been the case for a very, very long time. But we're going to be looking towards the bottom side of the map as far as our head-to-head, and Wolf is a god at the moment. This guy's ridiculous. And he was the guy that was saying, you'd listen into the comms and he's like, I am dead, roaming around the map and just randomly dying. Now, he's just getting all the work done.
100%. I used to think that Wolf was a huge liability for the team. I thought that he was just getting carried by the best team in the world. But MSI, he showed me. He was amazing at that event. Since then, he has only gotten better. This guy is on fire, and across from him, we can't forget Sword Art. This guy has been playing forever. I like to call...
And Thresh is back in the meta.
Exactly. I like to call Flash Wolves like the $1 million friendship, because effectively, everyone has been trying to snipe those guys. Everyone wants Maple and Karsa, and they refuse to leave the roster. They want to play with Sword Art. When you watch Flash Wolves play live, you can hear them over the crowd screaming their heads off. They're a very hype team. They're very emotional, momentum-driven, and it starts with Sword Art flanking the superstars in Maple and Karsa.
You have to echo that just that little bit further as well, because he is the silent hero of the team. The amount of work that Sword Art does do mostly goes unnoticed, because you look towards your mid laner and your jungle duo. They make the flashy plays, but there's always that person who sets the plays up with Karsa to get the wards down or make the plays in team fights, protecting his team, and that is mostly Sword Art's role.
Yeah, and Sword Art spends most of his time up with Betty towards the bottom side of the map, and Betty actually has the highest CS per minute stats and also the highest KDA in the league of the LMS right now. So Sword Art, proximity-based, able to carry his team, because Betty's like right there all the time getting all of that work done.
You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm just... Betty doesn't get
really
enough.
Overwhelmed?
Betty doesn't get enough of the props because Maple and Karsa just get everything because they've always been the duo,
It's kind of interesting, though, when you think about it. Betty not getting props when who he replaced was not exactly the best performer. So I guess the expectation of that role in the Flash Wolves has been
necessarily
diminished,
high,
right? So he's never going to get the same props unless he comes out. If he beats SKT and he manages to kill Bang, then you know what? We'll give him a lot of props.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
And I feel like if Betty beats Bang in lane, it would be ridiculous.
He's been really good on the Kalista Thresher, at least just basically playing the Kalista. So maybe we've seen some Kalista today. I want to see him actually put...
I want the Kalista Rakan.
Oh, there we go. I mean, we all want Kalista.
I just want Wolf's Nami.
You just want the Nami. That's just you just want the Nami
He
skin.
is so good at Nami. And it's not like normally people look at Nami like, oh, wow, if they hit the bubbles, they're really good. No, even when he misses the bubble, it's how he herds you and corrals you into other CC. His zone control on the champion, just the exact point that he knows everything that he can influence and where to a point he can influence it. Like, Wolf is so good.
Yeah, and also plays on a team with Rumble players as well. So Tidal Wave and the old Equalizer is pretty damn good. But let's get into Champion Select for our final game of the night. SK Telecom versus Flash Wolves. See you later, Froskerin and Raz. Thank you so much for the analysis leading us up to it. And Rusty, there are a lot of things that we can expect from this, and already, like, the top-tier champions being banned away, even on the blue side. SK Telecom not wanting to let anything through. Looks like they're playing seriously.
The Thresh and the Galio being banned away from the blue side. They must have that high priority, still looking for the first pick there. It's not going to be a Galio they look towards, and still respect being paid to their opponents. But conversely, for the Flash Wolves, the early Caitlyn ban. Again, lots of respect to the AD role there of Bang. Starts to trim down what the best AD carries are going to be.
Shows that Flash Wolves have been doing their research as well, because Caitlyn is probably one of the highest priority champions in the league at the moment in the LCK. Of course, Galio and Zach go without saying.
This goes without saying as a first pick when you ban away the Lee Sin. So again, you have to be, if you're Flash Wolves, you're drafting here, your stake, you're expecting the Elise, and what is your answer going to be is always the response, because Rek'Sai's up and available if they want to try and just out-farm the ganking jungler of Peanut.
And also the Karma being picked away here is also very important. Faker has been showing that he can just pick Karma, neutralize any lane, and then make Bang into a complete monster in the late game if he wants to. Of course, the Rek'Sai, another opportunity, as Cass is going to be hovering his Nidalee just for a bit of fan service. We'll see what he actually decides to pick up here, because Rek'Sai makes a lot of sense, does well into the Elise matchup, and can still gank early. But now what do they want to take away? Because there's still a fair bit open that they can gather for themselves.
And a couple of these picks have looked like potential ones. The Cogmore ring's true, but the Ashe in this same role of AD carry will be the place that they go towards, giving themselves a bit of added engage to the team. Of course, Rek'Sai is not that reliable for engage anymore since the changes. On the flip side, though, no hesitation from SKT.
That's a very fast lock-in of the Kalista. And Kalista Rakan is going to be locked away.
You actually got it.
So now we get to experience what is one of the worst things you can possibly do. We'll get to level 6 and we'll demonstrate that one for you. But now Flash Wolves have to decide what they want to take into it, and Tahm Kench makes some sense.
Tahm Kench is usually the pick into Rakan because it's a good denial tool of the engage, but the way that Tahm Kench is meant to deny this is when you dash forwards, you get gobbled up and saved.
Yeah.
With the Kalista, maybe that combo starts to shift. In saying that, still the best position, still the best champion to play in that role, and it's right up Sword Art's alley.
The thing that is quite difficult is that you get to play Yo-Yo Rakan when you've got the Fate's Call available to you. So you can Grand Entrance your way in there.
I mean, he already does. He just added an extra.
Yeah. And you just pull him back out again, and then he goes back in again, and then he battle dances back out again, and then he battle dances again. This Rakan is going to be all over the place. Wolf has been a definite MVP for SK Telecom so far this season. He's been playing very, very well, and now has what has been demonstrated as one of the most awful compositions to deal with. I believe Rox Tigers are the ones that have used it against KT, unless I'm incredibly wrong. Papa Smithy will correct me if I am, but so far the cannon is going to be taken away. No opportunity for Huni to go ballistic on that pick towards the top side of the map. And the Renekton is going to be the answer. So top lane going to be looked at here between Huni and MMD.
Yeah, fairly big focus so far with the two bans coming out. You've got your Rumbles, you've got your Jarvans of the world running around still as potential picks up there. And then you've got your niche options as well. If they want to go towards the Jax, if it's just going to become the LMS special, there's going to be avenues that they can attack here. And so we'll look towards this with bated breath as to where both of these teams will go. Flash Wolves are on the red side of the rift, though, so they can save that as a counter pick if they would like to just make Huni reveal.
Yeah. First option here. So LCK looking to ban away the final top laner potentially. Could be the Fiora if we were going to continue down that route, but maybe there's something that they want to get rid of. Is Kled is going to be removed. So not going to allow...
Very valid ban.
Yeah. Extra engage opportunities here for Flash Wolves. That is going to be the Rumble that was left open. And Huni, of course, a phenomenal Rumble player in his own right. We're a bit spoiled for Rumbles over in the LCK at the moment.
You've got to wonder as well, Rumble should be the lock unless they have a higher priority, and again, they want to go towards that counter. You've got your Fioras, you've got your Jaxes there. Still makes the most sense, lock in the Rumble, and now Huni has the option, of course. He does like his carries here and there. He dabbles into the carries.
Yep, he dabbles in,
I mean abstract carries.
Yeah, or the champions that you have available in League of Legends is what he dabbles in, I believe. As that is going to be the Jax, so Huni's going to lock that one in. Haven't seen him play it so far this season personally. But of course, there is an SKT Jax skin, so very, very fitting.
You've got to try your hardest with this Jax pick to continue to outscale, but it's in a very different way to what MMD will provide us. We're also going to be seeing the Talia from Faker, which means Maple will have his hand at seeing what he wants to play against that one. I was surprised that you're right, he didn't go towards the full Kalista build, Karma build rather, when he's got a Kalista and a Jax that he could empower here, Faker, but wants to be roaming around the map.
Yeah. Of course, that Karma was hovered at the beginning of the draft by the Flash Wolves, so SK Telecom would have had that one in their minds, but Faker's Talia has looked
amazing.
So good. Yeah, I know that, like, I was saying that and in the middle of it, I'm like, well, he's Faker, so of course it looks amazing, but particularly amazing.
Well, you have to say, like, even if you're a really good player, you look good on something, there are still degrees of good. And he has looked exceptional on it. We have seen some highlights running around here and there of the wall usage even as an example of it, but it does feel like the kind of champion where Faker would excel.
Yep, able to just obliterate people, but he has to deal with Maple's LeBlanc. We always know Maple as the assassin player in the mid lane of old, but has been dabbling in a few more sort of control mage picks. In fact, his most pick champions have been sort of the relatively standard ones, a little bit tame, but the LeBlanc has always been there in his wheelhouse. And this composition actually looks very, very scary from a pick perspective, and they have so much vision control with that Rek'Sai Ashe combination.
So I think the word pick is the right place to start here, Atlas. The LeBlanc, you've just mentioned what it's able to do. He's going to be against the Taliyah that has heal and flash. Not going to have a cleanse, and the Rek'Sai is the jungler for the side of the Flash Wolves, and so if LeBlanc hits the chain, there is no way to disengage for Faker. He has to try and use the shove before the chains actually hit, and if it does hit, Karsa is just a flash knock-up away from a guaranteed kill, basically, with the amount of damage LeBlanc and Rek'Sai are able to do. So there's mid lane pressure if the jungler has pressure, but that's where Peanut comes in. And can he control the river area? Can he place the wards? Or is Karsa actually going to be able to sneak around and get through? I know Rek'Sai has very creative pathing when it comes to ganks.
And it depends on who's going to get the shove as well. It has been a statement that we've been making over and over again, but who is going to get the push on these lanes and where the jungle is going to be able to attack, given the fact that we may have these lanes going backwards and forwards. There is a lot of shove out of Taliyah early, so expect SKT to try and get Peanut amongst it early on as we hop on to Summoner's Rift for the final time today. Still 3 more days to go, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry too much. There's going to be way more action. But SKT versus Flash Wolves, this is certainly one that you don't want to miss. And we'll see whether Flash Wolves can make a good start early on.
They'll certainly need to. Of course, most teams, you'll know that there is a clock before you just really have no chance. So you'll try your absolute hardest to get in there early. It's also an LMS region team where getting an early lead just accelerates how they'll play the games out. And historically, when you have seen Flash Wolves take on SKT, the early leads have been what it actually takes to be able to beat the SKT side here if you are Flash Wolves. And a lot of that has revolved through Karsa and Maple, and Sword Art now on the Tahm Kench, able to roam around the map, will have the crucial Betty on Ashe next to him. Because when you look at the engage of the Flash Wolves roster, a lot of it's the Ashe.
Yeah, that one will have to be landing. And the thing that I want to talk about is that feeling that SKT as a team has unique to them that they give you. I know that sentence was absolutely terrible. But SKT tend to make you feel like even if you have a 10,000 gold lead, you probably won't win. This is the amount of pressure that they have. It's just, yes, SKT might be losing, but you never feel like they're actually going to lose until that Nexus is destroyed.
And you know what's curious though? Well, like, that's definitely a valid point, and I agree with that feeling that it definitely gives to people. But when you look at the LMS and the LPL regions, most of the regions that you'd say have been able to beat SKT, whether it's best of ones or best of anything, it's knowing how strong you are opposed to knowing who you're playing against. And you turn labels off. I feel like that is one thing that the LMS and LPL regions excel at. Flash War is a good example of it.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. Looking back to 2015 for some of that information with EDG being able to take down SKT. Faker's LeBlanc also suffering the first
WE
loss.
at MSI is still the place that you'd look towards next, you know. Xie playing like there was no such thing as a lane opponent that is the best in the world. He just plays like it's a Lucian against anyone matchup, you know?
Xie also played incredibly well that tournament.
Early
Xiao's another option as well, who has outplayed Faker in the mid lane before. So, of course, not infallible, but they just have so much control and so many answers to everything going on around Summoner's Rift, which is why they're such a formidable team, because it feels like you have to throw perfect League of Legends at them if you are going to win, because if you make any mistakes, they know how to capitalize.
And speaking of early movements, though, Atlas, we did see some movements from the mid laners of both of these teams. A deep ward placed by Faker into the red side jungle will find Karsa, most likely. He's also trying to navigate his way around that vision and may be able to do so successfully to the point of a mid lane gank. We mentioned this as a possibility, always a lingering thought if the chains hit. They do not.
They don't, and in fact, Faker is a lot of damage from that threaded volley.
Also keep in mind, Peanut was here, so if he committed to the flash knock-up there, Karsa, he would have been counter-ganked. Peanut has a level advantage. He's been completely running around the map uncontested. And so it was a good look, but the look does not translate.
Actually hasn't taken his Krug camp as well, so don't look at the number next to the CS. Peanut probably ahead as far as that experience is concerned. Those Krugs, now that they spawn many little Krugs, are very misleading.
Always the Ivern inflation.
Yeah. Okay, Karsa, he's make his way in again. Just dry blind, like it. He's blind as well, probably doesn't.
Partially holding the minions, but I don't think the...
Whoop, Green's gonna not land.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the LeBlanc will actually hold the wave, but he does, so for what it's worth, Karsa, whilst it looked a little bit clowny for him to just rock up mid lane and walk through the lane, he gives a freeze to Maple, who has teleport, so he'll be able to hold that, even lose a bit of health for it. Faker's in base and is walking back now. Not the worst outcome.
And he's going aggressive. Nice trade with all of his buttons available. Also still has half of his mana bar. A little bit mana gated early as the old Jax, but good scrap shield timing there from MMD, who just burns down this hockey player.
Yeah, and you'd still have push in the Rumble versus Jax matchup pretty much 100% of the time. Your base damage increases. Kind of handy against a champion like Jax when you're going to be trading like that. He won't be returning the damage back to you anytime soon. We're looking towards the first purchases. Big item spikes are what you'd be expecting from Huni, and a lot of split pushing from the top laner of SK Telecom.
Yeah. Also looking for MMD to still have control early on, like you mentioned. So we'll see whether it is going to give an opportunity for Peanut to possibly gain.
Yeah, namely with these top laners as well, though, the one big point you'd be looking at is the objectives. And again, Rumble excels at taking those objectives. Jax, not necessarily, as junglers.
Yep, Karsa actually, I don't even think was aware of Peanut being around, as see Peanut on the screen down there as well. Sorta has eaten an Ash. He's going to spit him back out. Betty at about half health, but Bang's going aggressive, dancing around on his Kalista.
One of the cool things about this bottom lane 2v2 is that Wolf always becomes the frontliner. And against the Tahm Kench, whilst you'd say Tahm Kench is a good matchup for denying damage onto Betty, in the same vein, Sword Art has to hit Wolf most of the time. And if Sword Art's hitting Wolf, then it's pretty much impossible to gobble somebody in the 2v2. He's always going to get out safely. It's just way too much mobility there.
Good news for Betty is the fact that they're
this is actually dangerous.
Faker's in trouble, yeah. Tanking up minions is Maple, who pops himself back and understands that he doesn't necessarily have the cooldowns to take him down, but whew, catching your breath. Faker, of course, not infallible.
Has still got the summoners there. Maple chooses the safe way out. Doesn't force the heal or flash out of Faker, though. So, again, good reservations, and everything will just calm back down. That's the teleport advantage used by LeBlanc, now completely removed. And another forced recall, though. Really poor timing for the Talia.
Well, speaking of poor timing, oh, not going to get the knock-up, but there are not enough Ren stacks in there to lock Betty down. Teleport comes in, heal comes out to save the life of the Ashe. As in goes MMD. The equalizer's there, and First Blood is going to go to the Rumble. Wolf has to sacrifice himself, and SKT just a little bit too aggressive. That's not the real Maple. As now Bang just throws sticks at him because he's upset.
It's definitely not the real Maple. Huni's teleport also gets cancelled. He's not going to have that to even come back to the top lane and reset, which means the major benefactor of this is going to be MMD, even cancelling the recall. And that is a momentum builder for the Flash Wolves, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, cancelling these recalls. They've lane swapped. This is a really big tempo build-up for the Flash Wolves. They've seen a small eye-in, a small opportunity has presented itself, and they're going to try and start to accelerate just that little bit faster.
And they're not letting themselves be bullied here either. Flash Wolves know themselves as the SKT killers, even if the last series didn't necessarily go as they wanted to.
I'll tell you what SKT are, though. It's refillable.
Yeah, that's a lot of, that's 100%. 100% refillable. Nice work. Okay, going for efficiency rather than anything else.
That certainly is going for efficiency. Unfortunately, their item builds in the mid lane, as we mentioned, having a mana crystal is not exactly efficient.
I like how Huni's also got the rejuve bead as well. Of course, the refillable potion looking a little bit like that previously, and Huni's still going to make the mistake, decides not to buy it back. I like that.
We'll never know if he... No, he intended it. It's fine.
Yeah, he definitely
obviously working towards his item spikes.
Oh, still good, though. Okay, Spectre's Cow was the first option here from Huni, so going for a more defensive start to this build, understanding that he can get pushed in, as Bang going to complete that lane swap, but immediately Betty's going to answer it, and Peanut is waiting up here as well. Sorta hanging around. This is Catfish. Rakan is going to take the long way around.
Yeah, so it still gets matched reasonably quickly by SKT. When we talked about the lane swap just in general, they were up there early. The biggest delay was preventing the Jax from going back to base. This gives a bit of extra free time for MMD. You start to expect that with the First Blood, with the extra time in this bottom lane, it starts to result in maybe even another kill. And Huni actually hold that.
Yeah, there's the flash knock-up as Huni in trouble. Doesn't have the count. Oh, does have the counter-strike. Actually flashes, looking for the follow-up.
He's got him.
One more auto's going to do it. Void Rush not enough to kill Huni, but the damage has been done. Knock-up comes in there. This Spectre's Cow's doing so much goddamn work, but Karsa eventually does get the 1-for-1, but that is not what Flash Wolves wanted.
And you'd look at that and say, I cannot believe Huni gets a trade with the Spectre's Cow, Rejuve beat Jax. But he's able to do it, the level 6 spike coming out just by having the ultimate and repeated whacks into the back of MMD, who actually just overextends massively to try and secure that kill. Doesn't auto-attack, tries to maximize the damage coming out of his Flame Spitter, but doesn't even do that much damage. You're better off auto-attacking Weaving.
Yeah, and in fact, Flame Spitter is not great against the old Spectre's Cowl, as it turns out, as Peanut takes way too much damage. Maple says, remember, I am here and I've got a revolver. That revolver spike is actually silly.
It certainly is. Certainly is. In the same vein, Talia's not going to be spiking with items. It's a Merc Treads, just trying to survive the lane against the blue buff LeBlanc. Do not blame him whatsoever.
Yep. Faker just setting himself up to move forward in this game. And often uses his Weaver's Wall more as far as strategic options are concerned, as opposed to trying to secure kills or get picks or cut people
I believe
off.
he just got spotted. You can see Flash Wolves pinging to be very cautious. A caster's also nearby, to be fair, though. There's a stone throw away. And whilst you're mentioning, strategically, there is a pretty big strategic option available for both of these teams on opposite sides of the map. Flash Wolves and SKT's bottom lanes are on the top side, but there is an Infernal Drake still present on the bottom side of the map. So if one of these teams decides that the lane swap no longer going to be the case, we're just going to go back bottom, then there is going to be the Infernal Drake. But in order of priority, there's still a Rift Herald. It is now 10 minutes into the game, and he's always going to be an option.
Yep, Faker going to clear out these minions underneath the turret, and you're right, the Callista is up towards the top side as well, so having that Ren for secure would make some sense if they want to take that Rift Herald down. We're currently only 10 minutes into the game. Often we see very late Rift Heralds, at least in the LCK.
If you're trying to get the most efficiency out of your Rift Heralds, you'd be looking towards later into the game.
Everyone's looking for value for Rift Herald,
You can also just use it to break mid, as they're going to die of MMD from the looks of it.
Yep, Faker's here.
If they
Equalizer
can.
comes in. Yeah, can they actually clear this one out? Counter-Strike is going to get the stun. Casa is going to turn up. The Cocoon lands him. MMD is going to fall down, and the Weaver's Wall cuts off the escape. Maple dives himself over. Arrow narrowly is avoided via some smooth walking out of SKT, and they do back themselves out. So that is the one pick unanswered by Flash Wolves.
And of course, very well timed Weaver's Wall to secure everybody's escape. They're still going.
There's the flash forward. Peanut, as aggressive as ever, is going to lock down Maple before he even comes out of the stun. Huni and Peanut just trying to make their way back onto the A team here for SKT, and looking very good doing it.
MMD's actually got a deep teleport, still working with Caster from the looks of it, but Faker's here. This is risky from Rumble.
He wants to die as quickly as possible after dying before, by the looks of things, and it is going to be that. Huni just empowers him to death with that W. Maybe some miscommunication by Flash Wolves, because that was not the move MMD really wanted to make.
I think that's more than just some miscommunications, unfortunately. That
I was doing the play-by-play positivity.
Could have just went to the turret, Atlas, and things would have been okay for the side of Flash Wolves, but that's the Infernal Drake not going to get traded, unfortunately, which is what we suspected would be a play if it happened at all.
Okay, so that Infernal Drake is going to go down. As far as notable leads is concerned, there's not a whole lot. Maple's actually looking to try and grab this kill. Another chain lands. That is a point-blank one. The heal comes in. Faker's still alive, flashes himself over the wall, and is going to live. He was on, like, no health, and look at his face. Just cool, calm, and collected. I calculated that whole thing, guys. Don't worry about it.
Very surprised that he survives there. Maple, you'd expect the second rotation comes through. The distort doesn't second spray. What was that?
That was close, but I decided not to say it. I was emoting it. That was an interpretive dance that you guys missed out on there.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Sounds like Bruce Almighty.
Oh, good movie. Okay. Huni going to get the Counter-Strike here and
to
look
the
for
beginning
another
of the
kill.
end.
Yeah, is it the beginning though? I feel like this is the middle of the end. MMD's already well and truly past the bridge of this narrative.
For 1v1s, as far as I'm concerned, this is now the beginning of it, because they're actually 1v1ing. But the teleport's gone from MMD. I feel like from the teleport moment, it was the end. But, Yeah,
not great. And now Huni's going to catch up in farm here as well. Shadow Orb not going to land on a Faker, but Maple's going to clear out the wave nicely. He's got his Bilgewater Cutlass. Love that. That pirate flavor for your LeBlanc. But he's still got a decent lead as far as farm is concerned. Faker building towards his Morellonomicon, but at least Maple is getting himself towards this mid-game where he might be able to gather some picks, especially onto Bang, which is going to be very important.
Mid lane has been fine for Maple. When you look at the jungle, Caster is still 1-0, has decent CSs ahead of his opponent in Peanut as well. Faker, no summoner spells currently.
And it's going to get dived on here. Does have those Merc Treads, so not going to be stunned for too long, but actually even as far as the trade is concerned. Maple not exactly happy about that. He shot him with a sword. Normally that means you win, right?
shooting people with swords. I don't know if that directly translates to wins, but
well, I mean, it's a pretty crazy thing to do. If you can make a sword shoot, I'd probably give it to you, you know?
Maple says no to that theory.
Yeah, actually says no to a lot
they got him.
of his health bar, but that is going to be the stun, and the knock-up's all too easy from Casa. He invested his flash, but that is Faker dead inside of SKT.
You can hear the sixth man of the crowd as well backing up Flash Wolves every time they get a kill as Bang and Betty are going at it.
Yeah, Arrow is going to land here as well as Betty's just looking for a couple more autos. Flash heal having to both be used by Bang. Still going for the fight after missing the Pierce as well is not what you want.
No, and one of the rare mistakes you'd have to imagine coming out of it. In a 1v1 against Betty, still the 2 summoners going to be there for the Ashe. Unfortunately for him, no mana, is relying on some lucky crits throughout clearing this wave to have any at all, because he has that Essence Reaver spike, and funnily enough, was able to use that to a great deal of success.
Yeah, Essence Reaver spike is an interesting thing to talk about as well.
Because it's not a spike.
Yeah, and it's Zarya's that have been the ones picking up that item. Some Jins as well, possibly, but it's been a while since we've seen Ashe pick that item up.
We've seen it in the LPL when AD carries have lost so hard that they've just realized that their 2 longswords need to become something.
And so they build it into a hammer.
Yet, this is a conscious attempt, obviously, as he is not losing hard. He's doing quite well for himself, Betty. It's just the cooldown reduction build. And you're right, it is rare that we have seen it that often recently, especially with the resurgence of the many crit items as a build. And Blade of the Wrong King is still the staple for Ashe. But here we go, the direction that Betty wants to take this, the direction that Flash will want him to take this seems to be more arrows all of the time. And we've already highlighted, he's a pretty big part of the engage for this team.
Yeah,
so he needs to throw them out all the time.
And he's got a lot of follow-up as well. If he is able to land that arrow, then you get the tunnel into one burrow from Casa, doesn't need to invest the flash, and you've got the chains from Maple as well to layer on top. So I like it a lot. If you can actually make this one work, it's a good idea, especially if you've got then an equalizer. As far as a team fight setting after that pick is concerned, they've got a lot of follow-up, but it's the best way to start these fights off.
And interestingly enough as well, we said beginning of the end for the 1v1, MMD still has the level 11 spike. He still has the item spikes when it comes to team fighting specifically, where, hold up.
It's revenge.
They got him.
There it is. The
Nope,
close to the
they're out.
combination as the arrow is going to soar by gracefully.
And that was Maple's teleport as well. It wasn't even MMD, so that's actually not that bad of a trade as an end result here for Flash Wolves.
However, they do manage to get free summoner spells just by pressing R buttons. And these aren't exactly big R buttons to be pressing as well, as Maple's going to find a chain-ish, I believe, onto a Spiderling before Peanut went up into the sky.
Whilst it's not a bad trade.
Oh.
Hold that for a second. They've actually caught him.
Yeah, that is just going to be the Langer CC. All too easy. Faker throws out some pebbles and picks up the LeBlanc. And I wasn't expecting that to be a kill either. Peanut just threaded the needle on the cocoon and picked up the kill.
Long range shove, long range cocoon, and SKT, they weave their way into a pick onto the mid lane. Well, I was going to say, maybe they come up to top lane and impact this, but they're fighting.
Yeah, doesn't matter. No knockup's going to come in here, but the Devour has to be used and invested. Sort of spits out Betty. Those sticks go back over to him, and they win the trade handily, and the turret falls down in the mid lane.
Yeah, breaking that turret, actually
that's
growing
first turret
themselves
blood as well.
a gold
17.5 minutes.
And that's the Talia wall. No flash on the Ashe.
Oh dear, that is going to be the shove back onto Sword Art. They want to take this kill first as the flash is used, and Betty is going to sacrifice himself, but Faker has to be healed, and that was very, very close to the trade-up kill.
Of course, Faker has his own heal just back off cooldown. Will live. Betty dies. Sword Art chooses not to save his AD carry and flash over the wall with him inside his mouth.
Yep.
Instead, will try and save himself, graciously surviving throughout all of that. But SKT, they break a second turret at the exact same time as all of this pressure starts to compound. Flash Wolves, you'd have to imagine, the way to play this game out was use the 2 ultimates missing in top lane. Use the fact that Bang has no summoner spells for an extended period of time after the 1v1 with Betty. Bring Maple up top, bring Caster up top, and look to 4-man that. But because they 2v2 mid, they lose, they get picked. They also then get picked top lane as a direct translation of that. Suddenly, SKT in absolute control.
Yeah, and this is what happens. I mean, it's like you give them an inch, they take the game and then the series and things like that, and everything crumbles down, and they get another set of skins, and we're going to have SKT skins all over the place.
Well, it's not Worlds,
this is
but
only
they are
with
ganking
an
Hootie.
inch. Rust is, and he's going to be the chain landing. Good red carpet has to be walked up by all of SKT as soon as he gets himself out. And can SKT get anything back? There's the Fate's Call, as Wolf still has all his buttons available, but not a lot of health. as
There's
the flash
one.
comes from Peanut. He is so bloodthirsty today, as now Bang just looking for Carcer. Doesn't get the reset, and that's going to mean Huni picks up that kill all too easily. And Peanut is underneath the turret, exactly where he wants to be at almost all times. And now Faker coming in for the flank. Maple and Sword Out have to vacate the area, and Betty's just farming topside.
Should be the last remaining outer turret. You can see it now secured by SKT, and you're absolutely right. I was about to raise that in his own environment. Natural habitat, it feels like avoiding the entirety of SKT, as if afraid. He's sitting top lane. Doesn't get the turret. The teleport's there from Huni. Everything gets diffused and bested in every possible way.
Well, we've got that Infernal Drake being followed up with the Cloud Drake as SKT lock that one up as well. 100% Drake control as they're 5,000 gold in the lead as we have a look at this one more time.
And remember who makes the play here. Flash Wolves, they're going forwards. They lay down the red carpet. Wolf, three-man charm, three-man knock-up. You know what? Let's come back to MMD dead.
Aha. Okay. So this is a connect the dots type experience here where we're like, Bang got a kill. Wolf died, sacrificed himself. They went 1-for-1. Nicely done. As SKT utilized their man advantage.
I'm going to go ahead and say that MMD with teleport off cooldown decided to teleport behind them and die again.
His teleports have not been the best.
Look, he's consistent.
Yeah, that's
You
very
have to
true.
admire consistency sometimes.
Do you?
I said
You
sometimes.
cast Invictus Gaming. The consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, and I
That's
despise that fact.
That's
but
not the kind of consistency you want.
when they win, you love it.
You definitely do. That's because Rookie's so fun to watch. As we are seeing a small scuffle here towards the red side jungle of the Flash Wolves as we digress. But nothing is going to come from it. Bang going to continue farming us. Let's get another one. Let's have a look at this.
Hopefully no action happens during this amount of time. Of course, we get to see an Ash Arrow. You're expecting the teleport from Rumble, and there it is. Way down below. That's very elegant from Faker as well. No summoners from Sword Art and Betty.
Oh, how did that even happen?
They're just left watching as MMD passes away. Maple even stuck down in the bottom corner. That was actually just gorgeous. But MMD traded. You got to give him some credit there.
Yeah.
They engage the play, they get the pick. It's just that it was done well to respond.
Yeah, the idea was definitely much better this time from MMD. It wasn't him just teleporting in and dying or anything like that. It was just the Weaver's Wall stymied everything that they were trying to do, and Faker demonstrating why he is such an incredible player once again. Betty now looking for this mid lane outer turret. They get at least half the health bar, but it should be SKT able to clear this one up, especially with the 2-item spike from Bang, or just dodges nimbly out of the way of the Ash Arrow. Maple now looking to play frontline. He's going to find half the health bar, but no Magic Mantle doing work there for Bang.
It's a pretty hard target to hit a Callista, but you know, just dodges out of the way, picks left.
Still looks
the
good
Ash Arrow
regardless.
throws right, and he makes it look stylish. Absolutely right. So the Ash Arrow's off cooldown, and SKT, they start to advance.
And Huni now has a whole bunch of friends. Equalizer comes in, but Wolf manages to get a massive quickness over everyone. And now Huni continues to dive forward, picks up 1 kill. Maple dies as well. It's a double for Bang, as now Faker's just zoning away 2 people. They'll transition immediately into an inner turret. And can they even take more? They've got waves in
They're
great
looking
positions.
to take more, absolutely. They just blasted their way through Flash Wolves. They've got the minion wave ready to go, and this should be the inhibitor with it.
This is looking so incredibly good from SKT. They've looked clean so far. I mean, they're coming off a victory against MVP, so you didn't necessarily know what to expect, but otherwise this team has looked so flawless for so long in the LCK, suffering 1 defeat earlier on in the season. However, they've looked only up from there. And remember, this is the B roster as well. And let's have a look at this one again.
And Huni is kicking this off because he knows how close his team is nearby. And the MVP of all of these is always going to be Wolf because he gets knocked in by Bang. And again, that's the Callista Rakan combo that you're talking about. Big stuns to follow it up. But Wolf gets the 3-man knock-up, gets the 3-man charm, and does a lot of this by keeping Huni alive, who is built relatively tanky.
Yeah.
Having that early Spectre's Cowl is all he needs.
That's all he's been sitting on this whole time. Does complement it with those Mercury Treads, so he's not going to be taking as much magic damage or being CC'd for too long. But now going towards that Titanic Hydra, finishes off the Trinity Force there as well.
Has the Fist of Jouram, I believe it is.
Yeah, that's the one. I never really opt into saying that because I can't say Jouram very well.
Jouram.
Jouram.
Okay, when you
Sure.
say it, you know what? Fair enough.
See? I was just demonstrating the fact that I can't say it. I mean,
I will accept
what
that.
are you expecting? Goodness me. Silent Achiever, though, for SKT is certainly Peanut. 3-0-6 now. Of course, his Elise has always been a key pick for him, but now building towards his Banshee's Veil. Have 3 items if you include his Runic Echoes.
Yeah, a lot of the crowd control has, in fact, been hitting from Peanut. He was a big part of the early game success coming out of SKT in this game. And
Whoa,
just
it's now
quietly-
casually a 10,000 gold lead.
Yep, it has just accelerated its way up, of course, through that bottom lane inhibitor and the team fight before it. That was 2 in a row. Massive gold advantage as Forge itself. And Flash Wolves past the point of on the back foot. We're at the point where Ashe just needs to pray that the Ashe arrow hits the one target that's available to hit. And then you go down the line of SKT and you're like, okay, it's Elise.
Yeah.
Right now. But it's about to be Banshee, so it's no longer Elise in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then it's Jax, but you also don't want to engage onto the Jax. And then it's Rakan, but then he gets Fate's called.
So there is not a target.
Just not, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad news. But right now, I guess it is theoretically Peanut, but the Equalizer does go down, clears out the minion wave at least, and Huni takes a lot of damage. He's looking for the 5v5 Jax play. Redemption gets a lot of the health bars back. Huni probably wants to head towards A side. He jumps onto a minion.
Yeah, unfortunately, not for Huni. He's not going to get enough health back. He's still going to hang around, has teleport, so he's able to expend his health as a bit more of a resource for sieging and securing structures. As Faker, he's going to zone them all away.
And in goes Wolf. Grand Entrance gets the double knock up, the double seismic shove as well. The team play from SKT looking great. Double kill for Faker is going to come out, and Wolf just gets punted into nowhere, and because he doesn't have to, there's no one left to kill.
SKT can actually choose to end the game right now. They've got Huni going back to base, he's got teleport, do it to the minions, and suddenly this could just be game over at 26 minutes.
One Nexus turret is going to fall down. They have super creeps to follow up here as there's the teleport, keeping that minion alive. Peanut looks for the cocoon, finds it, lots of damage as Huni's just going to dive his way forward, but this is just to buy space.
It's just gorgeous.
Now SKT just looking to try and kill them on this fountain. Nexus falls down so incredibly quickly, and that is the evaporation of the Flash Wolves and just surgical play. After that mid game, there were a few question marks there. Flash Wolves showing some signs of life, but after that point, SKT had every answer and there was no way back in.
And you can see the exact moment that the stigma of Korean killers starts to evaporate with this game.
I believe that was MSI, wasn't it?
Yes,
Frosker,
it was.
Who's just joined us on the desk. Welcome back, Raz, as well.
It's also the best of one format, though, where you'd say maybe Flash Wolves can come in with some upsets, but you know, SKT perhaps weaker in best of ones. Not to be seen.
Also
Not
not
at
with
all.
their full roster as well. I know, I've got to stop saying that, because theoretically this is the A-team, the non-sub roster for SKT, but Ontara and Blank have been playing incredibly well this season.
It's the experienced team for an international event. And that's the big thing. You know, the fact that this is the first look of SKT at Rift Rivals, they decide to flank it with Peanut and Huni, who have had multiple international appearances in high-pressure situations. So, you know, maybe just giving the B-tier squad or maybe the S-tier squad, depending on how Atlas wants to define it.
We can do S and A, and then it doesn't feel as bad saying B.
There you go, S and A.
Yeah, much better. Thanks, Frosker.
Got you.
There we go. This game was incredibly just dictated on the SKT, funny enough, playing reactively. Like, Huni got dived numerous times that game, but he was able to play it out 2v1 in the really, really early point of the game. And then Flash Wolves, I mean, I felt like it all went wrong like 11 minutes in, where legitimately 3 plays happened. We were like, what happened to Flash Wolves in one instance? I mean, the dive that was set up of SKT was well done, where Karsa wasn't there on time. You're like, okay, well, that's fair. And then LeBlanc gets caught out while going back to the mid lane. She was just over the wall, and I was like, okay, cocoon. Like, that was just legitimately gone, deleted. I was like, okay, that's fine. Just leave it at that point. We're done, all right?
He's still okay at this point,
Yeah,
guys. Raz
right.
hadn't lost it just yet.
And then the TP comes in from MMD. Where are you going? So
Raz is like, clear for landing. Here we go. Like,
they were fine, and then like legitimately just 3 successive plays, and you can tell it was just a major communication error. They didn't know how many members of SKT were on that side of the map, and they just faltered.
I, for one, am very happy to see that OMG is not the only team struggling with teleports. So.
Yeah, that
Okay,
bottom
good.
lane tower has, or at least that area, claimed a lot of victims.
Well, if it had have been the tower, Rusty pointed it out, actually, that if it had have been the tower, would have been fine. However, it was not. It was going for the, I want to kill you, I don't have any of my buttons up, but I'm just hoping it's going to work.
The Hail Mary, if you will.
Yeah.
No, 100% agree with Raz. At 11 minutes, everything just went super sideways. Flash Wolves were actually looking fairly competitive, and then Faker picked up a bunch of kills. This is the dive. Yeah.
Oh, I guess we kind of have to talk about this because you're because I
mean, it's on your screen.
I mean, that's fair. 3-man dive. He plays it as well as he could. Karsa's coming through. The wall is coming right through there just to cut the the chase off.
Yeah, and the two nice things are, like you said, the wall coming in to cut off the chase, how they sidestep the Ash arrow, but also how they circumvent the tower damage. You know, they just walk through it, they're able to reposition. It's not going to be something that separates their team fight. And then from bad to worse for Flash
the whole
Wolves.
play, really, the entire play. You're about to do him like that. Maple goes down. And then,
Wait, the cherry on top.
Oh, here we are.
Really do.
Here we are. This is where it gets good.
He's about to respawn. Here we go.
All right,
there he goes.
Coming. He's like, I have a plan.
Jenkins!
Karsa, I know you're here for this play.
I've got him. That Spectre's cow is going to be taken down. Oh, wait. Something's going wrong.
Karsa backs away. Slowly, he's making the decision, and he's out. So that's 3 people. That's 3 people, the same person, dying twice. And
3 people, the same
person. But, so
how many teleports does this man have?
The problem is, 12 minutes to 16 minutes, they still have a chance, right?
Yeah.
Because Rek'Sai, LeBlanc into the mid lane, you punish the Taliyah in the mid lane. Taliyah was at 1 HP, 2 instances where she was able to get out of there. So that was amazing from Faker. And then they found themselves getting 2v2 victories where Maple and Karsa were losing out. They were just not properly connected. They have control wards. They didn't push in to plant proper vision. It was the matchup should have been favoring LeBlanc and Rek'Sai, but they just fumbled it.
It's just SKT get individual advantages, and they snowball it into massive team advantages.
Yeah.
So it's like a domino effect. Like you said, you give them an inch, and they suddenly win the World Championship in a tournament that doesn't have anything to do with Worlds.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing. It just feels like they take anything and then just take the absolute maximum. And in my mind, at that particular point in time, the absolute maximum was winning Worlds 2017. They're not going to be gifted that from this event. However, that's what it feels like. And it was an analogy and a slight exaggeration.
Said it here first, so we already know who's going to win Worlds. Everyone pack it up.
Do you remember me saying that LGD was going to win Worlds?
I don't remember that.
I remember most of the desk
happened.
saying that just quietly.
That word is banned on the desk.
That's the second strike.
Oh.
That's the second.
You have no right to give out strikes at all. Right?
I already got
instantly
3 strikes from me. But now 1 more and you'll join me.
All right, nice. Well, look, I like you, Raz. I'm happy to join you. It's absolutely no worries for me.
Thank you.
Because, that casting duo is fantastic. Let's take it back to the game. I've digressed way too far. But SKT showing, yet again, incredibly clean play. But what I love to see was that Kalista Rakan. I've been talking about it out of context almost the entire time I've been on the desk. Really glad to see it. Once again, Wolf performing incredibly well. But that Fate's Call, quickness, grand entrance combination is silly.
And it just plays to Wolf's strength. He's so good at controlling zones and creating setup for his team. And Rakan and the Kalista Rakan yo-yo combo suits him perfectly for that. It was time and time again that they were just running into Flash Wolves jungle. They see one person, they throw Rakan, he catches 6.
I mean, to speak specifically to the Rakan part as well.
Definitely there.
The one big thing you need for Rakan is that you have to ult before you dash in, right? Or you'll never get the knock-up. Kalista gives you that knock-up, so then the crowd control is... you can't get out of that forever.
It's like
so it's
you're just in the air forever.
Like the most nasty combo that you can possibly put together.
Yeah, this was a play that once again
This
Huni
was the
getting caught
combo.
out, and then you can just see the combo coming through because here he comes.
He's everywhere.
And this was effectively the sleeper hold on Flash Wolves. Like, it was all going wrong, but this was the final nail in the coffin. They rock into Flash Wolves jungle, they find them with the Rakan combo, push this down, and pretty much steamroll through the base.
Yep, and that's an example of Jack's team fighting as well, which is something you shouldn't necessarily do. And he initiates it by being on his own at half health and then just calls all the Flash Wolves over, and SKT, of course, have the answer. It's like everything is orchestrated, even though it may not necessarily have been, because like you said, it was a lot of reactive play coming out of SKT this game.
Yeah, you saw multiple moments in which there was just proper communication in which they called his team came, and it was just unfortunate for Flash.
And congratulations to Peanut. Of course, Blank is the undefeated jungler on the side of SKT, but it is going to be Peanut that gets some redemption here this game.
But where is the justice? Not that Peanut didn't play great,
He didn't
threading
even die.
those cocoons, but Wolf was so good on Rakan.
But that dude has got so many MVPs recently. Oh, man. And he's got so many poses on his Nami skin. I mean, it's like he needs to be brought down.
And, Peanut was a big part of the early game
yes.
success for this team, where Rakan comes in mid-game, late game, has the team fighting prowess. We still got through the early game super heavily on the back of what was able to come from the Elise.
Yeah, and he played it out incredibly, incredibly effectively. So well-deserved. And look, I feel like if you want to give it to the guy that didn't die on the team, that is also a good idea. Honorable mentions certainly go out, but when it's SKT, you need to give honorable mentions.
Who am I going to give all these MVPs to? Is it going to be Faker? Is it going to be Peanut? Where do I put them all?
Yeah, is it going to be Hooney, who managed to, team fight well on a Jax? It's ridiculous. But we do have an interview with Faker, so Wendy's here to take us through some translation.
So welcome to watching 2017 Asia Rift Rivals. So we now have a lot of people around because we're interviewing Faker. Faker said hello. So we do know that SKT had been matched against Flash Wolves for quite a few times.
확실히 제가 이전에 플래시 울브즈를 상대했을 때 한국 팀이랑 비슷한 느낌이 난다고 많이 생각했는데 이번에도 역시 비슷한 느낌이 났던 것 같고 네 그렇습니다.
之前他觉得跟闪电两队的时候，都会觉得闪电两是一个韩国队伍，就那么强。
So Faker said that when he versus Flash Wolves, he does feel like he is versing a Korean team. So they do have a very strong presence, very powerful. So what sort of feeling did you bring here when you're at the Rift Rivals? Is it like a bit nervous or very relaxed?
네, 저는 편하게 하겠다는 생각으로 오기는 했는데 그래도 국제 대회다 보니까 아무래도 열심히 하게 되더라고요. 그래서 지금은 그렇게 편하진 않은 것 같습니다.
So at first he did come with a very relaxed attitude. So now after the matches he does feel that he is pressured. So before there was an interview that said that his favorite champion was LeBlanc. So how come you chose Talia this time?
팀적으로 저희가 탈리아가 좀 더 조합에 맞을 것 같다고 생각을 해서 탈리아를 선택했고요. 네, 그렇습니다.
It's because the team composition was better with Talia. Yeah, so we were just very curious. So there was a moment where Faker's Talia escaped with such a slim point of health.
네, 저는 그때 도망치는 게 진짜인 줄 알고 속아가지고 조금 당황하기는 했는데 그래도 죽지 않을 거는 알고 있었습니다.
So he did say that he was nearly tricked by LeBlanc's mirror. So he said that he was very calculated and he won't be killed.
Oh, yeah.
이번에 시합 참가하면서 목표 중에 하나가 전승 우승인지.
저희가 전승 우승을 목표로 하고 있진 않고요. 그냥 우승을 목표로 하고 있습니다.
So Faker said that his goal is not all wins, but the champion. So the winner. So thank you very much to Faker. And now let's look at the results.
Thank you very much, Wendy, there as well. And I'm not necessarily sure whether that was calculated out of Faker, but what did you guys take from that interview?
I mean, he's confident. He said he was here to have a good time, but you can tell how the pressure gets to him in the end. So when you're playing on Summoner's Rift, there's still going to be the serious Faker coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always tell when Faker gets serious because he does his neck crack thing. If you see him, like after he dies, just look at Faker's player cam. You'll see him stretch his neck, and then you know it's about to go down.
Yeah, exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to bring us to the end of the day here at Rift Rivals. I hope you've enjoyed the action. I know I certainly have, and us here certainly have as well. But it's going to be same place, same time tomorrow. So don't miss it. We'll see you then.